please.
What's happening, everybody? This is the Philly Experience Podcast alongside Chris Thacker, Tanner Martin, Tyre Hood. I'm your host, Max James. Great to be with you on this Thursday, June 27th, following a week in which we saw two different versions of the Phillies team. First, the bad, getting swept by the Marlins over the weekend, 3 straight, and then bouncing back early this week against the Mets, winning 3 straight and looking for the sweep later on today. So we'll dive into some Phillies talk shortly. We'll also touch on some NBA free agency. Elton Brand obviously has a lot of decisions to make regarding Jimmy Butler, also some role players who are available in free agency off the bench. So we'll touch on that as well. And also some NBA draft recap. The Sixers draft Matisse Thybulle, actually trade up to get him. So we'll touch on that shortly. But first, while we're on the topic of NBA, we'll jump into the free agency topic to start. First question I have for you guys. What are you looking forward to most? I know there's a lot of big names, T. Obviously, a lot of big names. Mm-hmm. I know we'll touch on. I know you got something to say. We'll get to that. Mm-hmm. We'll get to that shortly. Mm-hmm. I just want your opinion first before you go on this rant. Mm-hmm. I want to know what you're looking forward to. I should say who you're looking forward to most moving or staying put with their team.
In terms of NBA free agency,
correct.
Well, the rumor is out there that Kemba Walker is on the move. Supposedly, the Celtics are in the lead to grab him. I think that's because Kemba Walker, while he can be an amazing scorer, there are some inconsistency issues that arises when it comes to Kemba. Apparently, Kevin Durant is opting out of his contract, and Klay Thompson is also opting out of his. So it's going to be a lot of moving bodies. It's interesting that Kevin Durant opted out of his due to the fact that he does have an Achilles injury in a sport that really requires you to run up and down, and it's a lot of physical use on your legs. So from that standpoint of view, that is very interesting to say the least, because I know there are going to be suitors out there for Kevin Durant, because at the end of the day, it's still Kevin Durant. But I mean, this is a guy that's coming off an Achilles injury. It's only so much money teams are going to throw at you. It's only going to be so many teams that are going to be interested in you, because the likelihood is that you're not going to be able to play next season, because you're still going to need to heal. So, I mean, look, more power to him. It's going to be an interesting free agency. In terms of the Sixers, what we need to really look at, we need to really start looking at some shooters to really fill out this roster. And you really need to do whatever you can to bring back Jimmy Butler. That ought to be your number one priority.
Let's hit you with what do we got for that rant over there? You got something on your mind?
Oh, yeah. I got to go off. Mama T, I hope you're tuning in, because I'm just
I am pissed off.
All right. So, anybody who knows me knows that I'm in the market for a pick-em-up truck. All right. So, I was interested in this truck, and Mama T went with me over to Jersey to this establishment. I'm not going to put this establishment name out there, but, long story short, they tried to jip me and tried to sell the truck for more than what it's worth, so I walked away from it. All right, but I still, had a good time, got to spend some time with Mama T. So she drove there, I drove back. We get a letter in the mail on Monday talking about we owe $7.50 on a toll. All right? First off, I paid every single stinking toll going to and from. Why in the world are y'all sending me a $7.50 toll charge when I paid every toll? All right? That's a bunch of ludicrous.
Do you ever drive through a toll and you don't have the money, and then they charge you like that $40 fee?
Yeah, they charge you.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way y'all should be charging me if I paid every single stinking toll. And then the picture that they sent, I'm gonna send it to y'all in the group text. The picture that they sent is absolutely horrible. All right, you can barely make out the car.
Could always, say that's not my car; it's somebody else's car driving by.
And then,
the government's poor, man. You gotta.
Yeah, well, too bad. I'm poor too. Shoot. All right. And then on top of that, to make matters worse, yesterday I received another letter in the mail. This time it's a stinking parking ticket. All right, for $51. All right. So then I had to pay that, and on top of that, they charged me an extra $3.50 for an online fee to pay for it. All right? I'm sick of this.
Okay, come on. The parking ticket, was it justified? What did you do?
First off, okay, I went to my cousin's prom. All right?
Okay.
My cousin was having a prom, and I went there to support her.
Good for your cousin.
So I parked the car.
Right.
There were no markings in the street. There were no signs up saying that you couldn't park there. All right?
There were no parking lines.
No parking lines. Apparently, I parked in a bus zone that wasn't even marked.
Typically, where there are not 2 lines, that is not a place to park.
Look, I'm sick of this city and I'm sick of this state being greedy, all right? I'm poor too, all right? That's all I'm saying.
It's a frustrating week for Tire Hood.
Yes, it has.
Okay, I'm T.
Jeez.
T. Look, you got to understand.
It's an outrage.
Sometimes, we all get a little desperate. All right, we kind of look for things to suck out of whatever. All right, look, and you just got the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
It's not a joke.
And lighter pockets.
But look, all right, it happened to me too one time. One time when I was very young, just got my license, I parked along the side of the curb in front of my house, but not the correct way. There's a correct way to park on the side of the street. It's with the passenger passenger side against the curb. Guess what? I get myself a nice $65 parking ticket.
Gotta park the way the traffic goes, buddy.
And guess what? I was still in high school where, just $10 is still a lot of money to me. And shut up, T. We all can't afford Fiji water.
All right. The lesson learned here is that Chris and T need to go back to driving school. Let's get back on topic here, people.
No, I want to talk about how much traffic sucks, and I want to get one of those cranes. Because when I was driving here, oh my God! Favorite quote my grandfather ever said to me: "You're the smartest person on the road."
All right.
Fine, T.
People are starting to turn us off.
Fine.
All right,
oh, come on.
get back on topic here. All right.
They love anger.
Tan, I'll start with you real quick with this. If you're out in Brand looking in free agency, like what are you doing? What's your first call? What's the first call you're making?
First off, if I'm Elton Brand,
He's making sure they have a clean
I'm drafting
record.
Ty Jerome. If I'm I'm not going up in the draft and drafting someone. First of all, I haven't heard of him before. Have you guys?
No.
Yeah, I have.
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But instead, we could have stayed at where we were and got Ty Jerome. That's what I'm kind of mad about. That we could have had a shooting guard come off the bench or even maybe eventually start.
Yeah,
but
the thing I didn't like was the trading up part of it. I think Matisse Thybulle, he would have been there at pick 24.
What was crazy is actually Tanner got his wish. All right, they had Ty Jerome, and I know Tanner was excited. But then they traded him.
Yeah,
and then we draft Matisse Thybulle, and I'm like, well, first off, who the heck is this cat? And then immediately I'm like, all right, well, let me look at some stats. All right, let me look at some tape. Let me hold out judgment. Now, I specifically wanted somebody who could either come off the bench or, like Tanner said, eventually start. But I wanted a shooting guard who could actually shoot the ball. I didn't want anybody that was athletic or physically talented. Albeit he's a good defensive player, he's lanky, but he shot 30% from 3-point range. Albeit he shot around 75-76% from this free throw percentage. That's pretty good for a rookie coming in.
That was his senior season. These are his averages for his whole career at Washington. Spent 4 years there. He averaged 9.2 points per game, 3 boards, and 2 assists. Shot 43% from the field and shot 36% from deep. A lot of the experts were saying that he's got 3-and-D potential. He's not there yet, but he's also a 2-time Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. So obviously, he's a guy who's a senior. Obviously doesn't have a high ceiling, but he's a guy that can step in off the bench for us immediately and give some decent minutes for us. Elton Brand said that he didn't want to bring in a bunch of young talent to surround this veteran team.
Right. That being said, though, I still feel like Ty Jerome is the better choice.
Ty Jerome was also a veteran guy in college too. He was an older player.
My favorite quality about you, Max, is that you always try to look at everything in the most optimistic way, and there are just times where I just want to roll my eyes.
But back to your question, Max.
Free agency. From a free agency standpoint, Elton Brand, your first call, in my opinion, is probably to Jimmy Butler, but you got a lot of things to figure out.
All right. So for me, I think the biggest moves will be trying to bring back both Tobias and Jimmy, but most of all, Jimmy, obviously.
Right.
But I feel like in the playoffs, we were so close. We went the whole distance with the Raptors, didn't end the way we wanted it to, but I feel like we were just a bench away from getting to the finals.
We were.
Just a bench away. Our starters were good. They didn't play as many games together as we wanted them to, which will change if we get them back. They can start the whole season together. But yeah, that bench is what we what Elton Brand needs to work on.
That's what I was hoping he would
Yep.
he would do in the draft. I thought he would draft a couple of guards that were older, like Ty Jerome.
I think he wants experience on the bench too. Just like if we would get someone and then have JJ Redick come off the bench,
Right.
if we can get JJ to stay as well. But I think he's gonna look towards free agency, and I think we're gonna do some stuff.
I mean, now back to Thibault. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like defense. Y'all know how I feel about defense in all sports. I love defense. I love the fact he's going to bring some hustle and some defense to this team. But here's the thing that you said that interests me. One of the experts said that he has 3-and-D potential. He's like 21, 22 years old. All right, potential for him is over in the NBA. He is what he is at this point. So okay, 36% from deep. That's pretty good. But other than that, I'm looking at that field goal percentage, 43%. I kind of need a shooter. I like his
Right.
defense prowess, but I kind of need a shooter.
And the way our season went last year, we definitely need more shooters because obviously Ben Simmons and also Joel Embiid, because when he's off, he's way off, and it's contagious in
Yeah.
a way.
This is what I like about the pick, though. I think he's a guy that can step in right off the bench immediately, like I said before, and help this team out. He's going to be a bench player. The thing I like about him also, he was never the guy at Washington, or he's always scores surrounding him. Just like on this team in the NBA, when he comes on this team, he's not going to be the guy. He's always been a good role player, and he's always been a good passer, and he can, obviously his defensive talent is, crazy good. But like I said, Jimmy Butler's going to be getting a lot of shots, right?
Yep.
If Tobias stays, he's going to be getting a lot of shots. Embiid and Simmons, and on top of that, he's not a starter on this team. He's going to be coming off the bench. And if him and Zaire Smith can take a step forward next year,
And that's the thing. What do you have in Zaire Smith? We discussed this a couple of episodes ago. We don't know exactly what he is because we only seen him in a couple of games towards the end of the season, and we didn't see him at all in the playoffs. So, what kind of player do you have in Zaire Smith? You're expecting a 19, 20-year-old kid to take a step forward. What's he taking a step forward from?
right? I think with this season's so long. I think you have to experiment throughout the regular season. I mean, if you're good and when the playoff time comes, doesn't matter what seed you are. If you're the better team, you're I know the home court advantage. It does make a big difference. But if you're the 5 seed to start, you don't have home court advantage. And even as the rounds go on, you don't start with it in the first round, and you're not going to have it even if you're the 4 seed. You don't have it in the second round. So you got to learn how to not play with home court advantage. And I think you got to get these guys in there, play them some decent minutes, Zaire Smith, Matisse Thybulle, whoever you get in free agency, and kind of just work them together. We don't want to make big trades. I know we had Jimmy Butler trade last year, Tobias Harris, but again, that kind of hurt us a little bit because they didn't have a cohesive unit.
Yep.
Going back to that Tobias trade, I think something that really affected the team and the bench is getting rid of Landry Shamet in the trade. I feel like something else could have happened and we could have kept Landry Shamet.
Yeah, he's
somehow.
a good shooter. He would have been a good bench player.
I think that really affected our bench.
It did, because that was a reliable scorer coming off the bench, and that was his rookie season, correct?
Yeah.
So, man, a rookie coming off the bench and you being able to rely on him. I mean, honestly, I think personally, and this is just my personal opinion, that if he would have stayed with the 76ers, he would have been in the running for 6 Man of the Year because he was that good.
Right.
He was that much of a reliable scorer for us. Now, be it, I think Tobias Harris is a good talent. I'm not taking anything away from that. But, Shamet did bring something to this team that's been missing, and that is scoring off the bench. Consistent scoring off the bench. Reliable scoring off the bench.
I would have rather have gotten rid of Korkmaz instead of Shamet.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If I was. Yeah.
Are you guys all in on running this thing back, bringing back Tobias to a max contract because you're probably going to have to offer it to him?
Yeah, run it back and
Run
then
it back.
maybe improve the bench.
Yes, that's
Not
really
maybe improve the bench.
that's really the only thing you really need to work on is improving the bench because you're the only team that took the Raptors to 7 games. I mean, if it wasn't for a couple of lucky bounces, it would have been going into overtime.
Yeah.
And who knows what could have happened?
Right.
All right. The Raptors swept through the Bucks and ended up beating one of the more dominant dynasties the NBA.
They made that
in
Bucks
NBA
series
history.
look easy.
Right. So, you don't know what could have happened. Bring this team back. Bring everybody back. Just build the bench. That's really all you need. Because I agree with Max. If I see Jonah Bolden again one more time, I kid you not.
It just hurts so much because we knew how close we were.
We were.
We just
Listen, the question marks are the guys we already have under contract. The question marks, they lie with Joel Embiid. They lie with Ben Simmons. Are these guys going to get better? Are they going to be able to stay healthy? Obviously, I think one of the important things in free agency is getting a good backup center because Embiid's going to miss games.
Yeah.
I would give him the Kawhi Leonard treatment like last year.
Right.
I mean, Kawhi Leonard missed about 16 games, never played the second night of a back-to-back, and look how that worked out in the playoffs.
I did see this is during Simmons over his maybe contract extension, and he said he would rather Tobias come back. What do you guys feel about that? Is that just because they gel better? Or do Jimmy and him not have the type of chemistry?
I don't know. The thing I like about Tobias is he can kind of be that. He doesn't need to be that guy. Like Butler
Right.
needs to be that guy.
Is it because Butler's taking so much spotlight?
It's possible, but the thing is, I don't even want to speculate with that because I want Tobias back. You know,
Yeah.
I want him to be part of this team.
I want both of them back.
You know, he's a good free throw shooter. He's a good 3-point shooter. He's a good fit, and he's not
He
just
is.
a role guy. I mean, he's I should say he's a role guy, but he's in the starting lineup.
Right.
You know, you really talk about role players usually coming off the bench, but he's that role guy in that starting lineup. And man, when he gets going,
And
you've seen him, especially in that Nets series. I know he didn't have a great series against the Raptors, but in that Brooklyn series, man, he was playing really well.
And I think an underrated aspect of him is that, you know, he does create his own shot. Like, you don't necessarily require him to come off screens, though he can do that. You don't necessarily need him to necessarily stand in a corner and shoot the three. He can do that, but he can also create his own shot from the mid-range.
Right.
You know, and that's something that's really missing. And that's the reason why I think Jimmy Butler, I think, is more valuable, because of the simple fact that, you know, even though he does require the ball, he still can create his own shot. You don't necessarily need to set up a play for him. Now, I don't know why Simmons is coming out and saying that kind of stuff like that, because that kind of stuff can be misconstrued. Like, we're talking about it now. But you really need, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Ben Simmons, the only way he can work together with anybody, he needs to develop a jump shot. I can say this till I'm blue in the face. I don't care what players you bring in, Ben Simmons. I really don't. You're going to hold this offense back if you don't develop that jump shot.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. I mean, we know what we're getting from Jimmy Butler. We know
Correct.
what we're getting from Tobias Harris, right? And Embiid, we don't know. I mean, is he going to be able to stay healthy? I mean, I know we want to rest him this season coming up. That's definite.
He needs a
And
nutritionist.
Definitely.
Yeah, we agree.
And Ben Simmons, is he going to be
4
able to get
Chick-fil-A
better?
sandwiches.
Even not
Spicy
just
chicken.
just even we talked about
ridiculous.
starting from the beginning, from the foul line, and then, you know, a mid-range game. Obviously, he's not going to be relied on to shoot the three consistently and
Right.
be able to make it. Just shoot it to people shoot it so people respect you.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Like I'm gonna give you a prime example of a player who I think he should develop his game after. Jason Kidd. All right. Jason Kidd wasn't necessarily a consistent shooter. He wasn't the greatest shooter, but every year he developed his game. Jason Kidd always was a playmaker. He would always make beautiful passes. He was a natural born point guard, but he wasn't a natural born shooter. He worked at it. So eventually, over time, Jason Kidd's jump shot got to the point where everybody had to respect him. You could not just sag off of him, because if you did, he would still shoot it, and it was a good chance that he was going to hit that shot.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, Ben Simmons, his talent alone is so great that he can still get to the rim when there's 4 guys clogging him in the paint. But the fact that he can shoot a 3-pointer, even attempt it, so people respect it, it's just going to
Exactly.
open up more stuff for him.
Yes, because guess what? If you even attempt to shoot the 3 and you start making a couple of them, so now the defense has to sneak up, guess what? You're so big and fast, you can go around that defender and go to the paint.
Yeah.
But if I'm a defender now with Ben Simmons' current game as it is now, I'm gonna stand.
We
in the
saw
paint.
LeBron play like near the charge circle.
Yep.
Like in the bottom of the paint when he played the Lakers. The one other topic I wanted to bring up, this just Jimmy Butler signing trade deal with the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys make of it? I know they're offering a lot. The Rockets, I should say, are offering a lot. Capella, Gordon, Tucker,
Mm-hmm.
even maybe a first-round pick or 2 to try to get Jimmy out of Philadelphia.
Well,
what do you guys make of it?
The thing that the Rockets are trying to do, they're trying to, like you said, trade Capella, Gordon, and Tucker, but individually see what they can get the best, like a first-round pick.
All right.
So in say the situation where we sign and then we're up to trade Jimmy Butler, we get a first-round pick and a good one too, because that's what they'll have to give us. But I don't. I mean, it's really up to Jimmy.
Right.
In the long run, it really is. And I don't know. Will he want to go play with his hometown, or will he want to get that 5-year, $190 million max deal?
Would you even consider doing, like, even if the Rockets straight up said, all right, we'll give you a first-round pick, Clint Capella, and Eric Gordon for Jimmy Butler?
I've
Would you?
tossed and turned with this trade, because I do see the benefit of it working out for both teams. But I'm going to have to say no because, first of all, Clint Capella, I highly doubt Clint Capella being the starter for the Houston Rockets all these years now is going to I don't think he's gonna want to start all of a sudden coming off the bench behind Joel Embiid. Though it'd be cool, it'd be nice. I just don't think that's gonna happen. Now Eric Gordon, that's a shooter that we need. Now that would be nice. I'm a little iffy on PJ Tucker. So because of that, I don't see there's equal value. I really don't.
PJ Tucker's a little bit older, but let me give you the contracts here. Clint Capella's getting around $15 to $20 million per year for a 4-year contract.
Yeah.
A little pricey, obviously, for a backup center. But he's 25 years old. He's good. I mean, this guy can ball.
No doubt.
And if we're going to rest and beat a lot of these games, we want a guy you can rely on to back him up. I'm just stating some facts here about how the trade could work for both sides. Mm-hmm. Eric Gordon's contract, 2 years, $28 million. He's 30 years old, so he's about, 3-4 years younger than J.J. Redick is at this point. And a first-round pick or two you want to throw in there for him? If you're out in Brandon, you have to consider it. I mean, you have to consider
absolutely.
it, definitely.
Right.
But I think where we are as a franchise at this point, I don't think you do it because, it's a star-driven league.
Yeah.
You need stars.
Yep.
Obviously, it'd be nice to have some role players and good ones, too, like Gordon and Capello. But I don't know if, doing that trade would be the right thing to do if you're out in Brand.
Listen,
No.
Jimmy Butler's a big piece, 46% shooting, 18.2 points
Right.
average. But he goes to Houston. That's starting, man.
Well, first off, thinking about how that lineup would be, they would have Chris Paul, James Harden, and they would have Jimmy Butler. That's 3 ball-dominant players. Now, it's already bad enough that Chris Paul and James Harden are beefing because they both feel as though they're not getting the ball enough because they're both ball-dominant players who, in order to play to their full potential, they need the ball in their hands. Now you're going to add a third ball handler who needs the ball in their hands?
And take away Capello, you don't really have a big man.
It really doesn't make any sense in terms of the position from Houston. I mean, you're already going through strife right now with Chris Paul and James Harden fighting. You're really going to put the team into a real good bind if you trade for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, those are 3 alpha dogs in the room. Jimmy Butler, James Harden, and Chris Paul. We're seeing it now, reports coming out. Chris Paul and James Harden can't even coexist. How are you going to coexist when there's 3 guys who want to be the number one option?
Exactly.
I just think it would be hard to do. Another thing I wanted to mention here, everybody's kind of opting out of their deals. We mentioned Kevin Durant. I'm a little surprised. $31 million leaves on the table to become a free agent with his Achilles injury. Kawhi Leonard opts out. Not as big of a surprise, but at the same time, he's still considering Toronto as being one of the major plays and one of the major teams that he would consider going back to.
Hey, even though it's probably unlikely, hey Kawhi, if you come by Philadelphia, come take a visit. You know what I mean? I'll slide you a cheesesteak. You know what I mean?
They said that he might consider it.
Yeah, please,
if you guys had to pick some of the big
Yes.
names, I know it's possible when we're sitting here a week from now, or excuse me, 2 weeks because next week's 4th of July, but 2 weeks from now, it's in all likelihood we can have some big names off the board. So what do you guys think? Do you guys have any predictions of where these guys are going to land?
Oh man, there's so many rumors going around. You can really go with.
We'll start with names there. I'll stay with
Okay.
Kevin Durant. I'll start with Kevin Durant. Where do you guys think KD goes?
Listen, I think he knows something. That's why he opted
Yeah.
out of his the deal because
Yeah.
I think he knows something. Another team had contact with him. Maybe not legal contact, but
Yeah.
So you
I
think
think
he's
he
gone?
knows something and he's gone. He's
Yeah, you
going
don't-
somewhere.
You
Yeah.
don't leave $31 million on the table just like that, especially because
with an
you're-
injury
Right.
if you don't know.
But he would
anything.
definitely have to join somebody. So what are you thinking? Him and Kyrie to the Knicks? Him
It's-
and Kyrie to the
It's
Nets?
a possibility.
I think KD's going to go to New York.
You don't know which.
I don't know which team.
Yeah.
But
But you gotta say
it would be
Kyrie
hard
follows him, right?
It would be hard to see him at the Nets in a Nets jersey.
They
and
did say he's got a house out there. He just bought one a couple months ago.
But players have houses all over. Like Jimmy Butler has that house in Norristown. But
Yeah, that's true. What do you guys think about Kawhi Leonard? Do you think he stays in Toronto? Do you think he goes to the Clippers?
I do think he's going to leave Toronto. It just, for me, would he be willing to take a pay cut to play with LeBron in LA, or would he rather play with the Clippers, who's a real gritty team who pretty much has some nice pieces around, but they're just looking for that one superstar to really take them over the top? Honestly, I think he's ultimately probably going to sign with the Clippers. if I had to take a wild guess, due to the fact that, like I just said before, the Clippers have a more built team than LeBron does, and
The Clippers, you could put them as a title contender if they get Kawhi Leonard.
Oh,
They already have
easily.
some great pieces surrounding him.
they were a
And
scrappy
they were a
team.
surprise against the Warriors.
They
too.
were.
They were sticking with
Won
it.
6 games.
Yeah, they
Montrezl Harrell's, he's a really good player.
They are a
He's-
scrappy team. Doc Rivers has that team flowing nicely.
Definitely.
Seriously.
What do you guys think about Kemba Walker? I know the report came out with the Celtics. Do you think he goes to the Celtics? Do you think he stays in Charlotte? I've always kind of thought he would stay in Charlotte, but now with these
Yeah, me
reports,
Yeah.
coming out,
I mean, my problem with Kemba Walker is his inconsistency, his inconsistent job.
he's kind of just a scoring guard, but he's never had any talent with him. That's the main thing that I want to say.
I can't necessarily say he's never had talent.
I'm talking about superstar talent. I'm talking
Okay.
about when he's got a shot to make a noise in the playoffs, I should
Okay.
say. He's never had that opportunity.
Okay, now when you put it like that,
But Charlotte's a smaller market, though. You got to remember that, too.
He's hit that shot against us late in the game.
Yeah.
I remember
Every
that.
time he plays the Sixers,
But,
I feel like
yeah.
he drops 50.
But I think he will go to the Lakers. I think
Man,
somehow,
Kemba, AD, and LeBron.
somehow, some way. But back to this Kawhi thing.
So
we
one
were
thing the
talking-
Lakers do have
yeah.
money.
Back to the Kawhi thing. We were talking about how him and the Clippers have interest in each other. But I saw in this article that the Celtics and the Sixers were looking for trades for Kawhi, were interested in him. But they found out that he had every intention in 2019 to sign with the Clippers, so we didn't even attempt to. Do you think it would have been our best move to maybe put everything on Kawhi and then just have him leave the next year but win a championship?
See, I don't know, because I'm trying to compare. Like, we look at the Eagles team, right? We won the championship, and we're like, oh, we got the championship. I'm fine with it. And then now we're like,
And,
I want another
yeah,
championship.
we're still hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're hungry for it. Absolutely.
So I don't know if you could just say, let's go all
Starving
in one
for
year.
it now.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to do that. I think, like we've done for many seasons, trust the process, and I think it's finally coming together. We just are one piece away.
Ben,
Right.
Our young pieces are the keys here.
Yeah.
And depending on whatever happens in free agency happens, but depending on Embiid's health and Simmons' ability to shoot and get better.
I
that's
just
what's
wish
gonna
we had
fall
a
on.
bigger splash in the draft. I would feel more
I
comfortable.
agree.
What do you got? That's the one topic I wanted to bring up real quick. Any surprises? Any the trades? I know there's a lot going on. Any surprises?
Bol was talked about being in the top 10
Yep.
for a draft pick, and then he
And
dropped
just
all the
kept-
way down to 44.
Yep.
That was
That was
pretty
surprising.
impressive. Like that was.
And you guys
surprising.
made a very comprising argument to me last show about Bol. You know, the fact that we, need a backup center. I brought up Nerlens Noel as a free agent, topic. But that would have been really cool to have Bol on the team, man.
You know what? The one thing I was saying was I wanted him, and then it just kept getting later and later and later, and I was like, I guess there's something I don't know. Maybe I don't want him, because he fell to 44, and it got to be like pick. We had that second round pick in the 30s, and then we didn't take him. And I was like,
Didn't
I
he-
guess he's
Isn't
not worth the pick.
Isn't it out there that he has an injury somewhat?
He has
Like a
the same. I think the same injury Embiid had when he came out of college.
So that's the thing with big men. You kind of want to be careful with that, especially when it comes to leg injuries and big men. I mean, you start thinking about Greg Oden and things like that.
I also think something with his attitude too. I know that the same. He fell for multiple reasons, but the one reason Kevin Porter Jr. fell was his attitude on and off the court. He's gotten into some trouble in the past. But yeah, again, I thought if we could have gotten a point guard, that was kind of the one thing I wanted. We took Bruno Fernando with our one pick, who was the center from Maryland, who I thought would have been a good backup center for Joel Embiid, and then traded him away immediately. So.
Yeah.
At this point, I have no Elton Brand's trading away things. I don't know. I'm just waiting to see.
That's the one thing that I hate about the NBA draft now. I hate the simple fact that it's the minute you think a player is getting drafted somewhere, they get traded. The kid doesn't even get the chance to make sure that the hat fits on his head before he's traded. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You're already trading his rights away and you just drafted him?
Kobe White couldn't even fit the hat on his head. His afro was so big.
This is the stupidest thing ever. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, they put you in a Lakers hat, and then you're going to Minnesota.
The one thing I did want to point out, Elton Brand did say that he wanted as much. He
that's
needed
ludicrous.
as much money as
Yeah.
possible. That's why he got rid of Jonathan Simmons on draft night to clear up another $1 million. Which, I mean, for a contract, it's not that much, but hey, it's another $1 million you can tack on somewhere. So
Right.
he did say that he wanted to clear space and not have too many young players.
A player I was surprised to see. I mean, he wasn't talked about a lot during the draft, but Taco Fall, center,
Yeah.
I think he's going to play summer league. I think.
UCF. Yeah, he. I mean, Who got him? The Celtics?
I don't know. I did read an update where I think a lot of those guys that go undrafted obviously go on those summer league teams because they need to fill out rosters. But I do think I saw his name pop up.
Yeah.
But we can probably look that up real quick. But again, Taco Fall, we saw him play against Duke in the March Madness, and man, he was a big time factor.
He's with Boston.
He's
Yeah, that's
I mean, he's 7'6".
I know.
He's a huge guy. We were
I
talking
know.
about Bol being huge, but Taco Fall is huge.
That'd have been a nice little backup off the bench, but it is what it is. And
He's bigger than Boban.
I'm see. Yeah,
I
that's
think
crazy.
at this point, with the options we have left, Elton Brandon's probably just looking for a backup vet guy on the
right.
cheap.
Right.
To obviously to give us a little bit more production
Right.
than Amir Johnson did.
Speaking about Boban, what's going on with him contract?
He's gone.
He's
Yeah,
gone.
he's gone.
Yeah,
You think?
You need somebody more athletic. I know he's got size, but
I know he's got that chemistry with Tobias too. Do you think that would maybe put it over the edge? Make Tobias
I don't think
come
so.
back?
I don't think it's a business. They all know it's a business.
Yeah, I mean they've been traded together 3 times though.
Yeah.
If this was old school, 1980, 1990 basketball, he'd be the perfect center. But no, this is the modern day NBA. Center's a whole lot more athletic.
I mean,
Boban
sometimes
was
he just
fun to
misses
watch.
those simple shots.
It was fun to watch while he was here, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was, no doubt.
I mean, he was a liability in the playoffs. We needed somebody to step up, and it got all the way to the point where we needed to bring in Greg Monroe. Like, come on. Greg Monroe was our best option. I mean, Boban was fun in the regular season and all when we were playing, like, the Magic, and he could just dunk on everybody.
He's not your cup of tea.
No.
But I tell you what, this free agency period is going to be so fun. I'm waiting for some big-time names to move, and hopefully the Sixers come out of this with Jimmy Butler re-signed and Tobias too. I mean, you're not. The only thing I want to point out is who's a better option. I know we want to say save some money up and get some depth off our bench, but who's a better option than Tobias at the 4? Do you really want to sink so low when you're signing like a Marcus Morris? Not that he's a bad player, but Tobias' skill level is so high. Do you really want to let him walk and sign maybe like a veteran 20-year-old or 28, 29-year-old like a Marcus Morris?
See, because we were so close in the playoffs, and it's crazy. Like we brought up plenty of times on these airwaves, the team only played together 20+ games, and the simple fact that they took the eventual NBA champions to 7 games, and then, like I said, if it wasn't for a couple lucky bounces, who knows what could have happened. You need to really keep this team together. Try to keep this team together as much as possible.
I hope Kawhi goes out to LA.
Does that mean keeping? Because Kawhi's going to be
Toronto would be kind of. I know they still have money then, but they would kind of be out of it a little bit. And if we can run it back, we're right there with the Golden State injuries.
But this team needs to really stay together. Elton Brand needs to try as hard as to bring Tobias back, to bring Jimmy back, and just build that bench.
I don't think any one of us would be disappointed if that's what we found out that news that we're running this thing back. It's kind of what we expected.
But I wouldn't get too excited because, like the Sixers have done in many seasons, let us down during the off season. And I mean, I know they kind of skip off season and then they make their move the first couple weeks of the regular season with trades like Jimmy and Tobias. But I wouldn't get too excited. I just want them to bring back Jimmy. I really do.
Jimmy's made for the city. I feel like his attitude, his toughness.
I love his attitude, man.
He's made for the city, and if we can bring him back,
Blue collar player,
Yes.
that would be great, man. That would be great. I hope he wants to stay here because we kind of don't know what's going on in his head. Does he want to stay
Does
here?
he want to go back home?
Think?
Does he want to play with LeBron? What's he want to do?
He was out in Brazil for a little bit. He just flew back in because now free agency period starting.
People are liking that Kawhi and Butler type.
Yeah, that's what I heard. They're trying to pair them together in certain teams.
Yeah, that's cute.
So, again, we'll see what happens. But let's talk about some Phils now. Chris, you've been quiet over there. This is your topic. I rely on you to give me some feedback here.
Yeah,
Phils,
no,
42 and 38 overall record. 5.5 back. 5.5 back of the Braves in the division. Last week we were sitting here. They were 4 back in the division. So, again, like I said, the Marlins week was. If we look back on this, let me just say this real quick. If we look back on this at the end of the season and say we missed the playoffs by 2 games, obviously this beginning stretch in June is where you look, right? And the low point of the season so far obviously has been that Marlins sweep. But this Mets series, we got a chance to sweep a 4-gamer against them today with Nola on the mound. To bounce kind of right back in this race. The Braves are just playing like out of their minds. They beat the Cubs again last night on the road at Wrigley Field. I mean, they're playing so well right now. It's kind of like even if we win this 4-game series 4 games in a row and sweep the Mets, it's like we can't catch any ground because the Braves keep winning.
I think T and I are in the same boat here. I don't think we're sold on this.
No, not at all. Not the slightest. Nope.
They played so terribly.
Hey,
yeah.
I'm on your team too. Look, okay, I know what I'm about to say is going to be the same thing. We should just rename this show Groundhog Day Phillies Pitching Edition. The pitching is in the Marlins series. Our starters in all 3 games did fine. Nola went 8, striking out 10. Granted, yes, he gave up the runs, and we just could not get guys home. And you look at the next night, Velasquez went 5, only gave up 1 run, which that for Velasquez, that's better than what he has been.
He's working his
showing.
way back into the rotation.
Yes, De Los Santos did. Oh God,
No, don't even mention that. I was at that game, and I was like, what am I even... Is this guy like a major league pitcher? It's like they called him out of the stands and put him on the mound.
Yeah, and then... So I feel like other than De Los Santos's start, the starting pitching definitely stepped up, and the relief pitching let them down. In the Mets series, even though we have won...
In the Mets series, it's kind of been backwards, hasn't it? The pitching's kind of let us down. Eflin and Arrieta. Eflin gave up 6 runs. The next night, Arrieta 5 runs. Pivetta didn't pitch well that great, or I should say he didn't pitch that well last night either. This whole flipping staff is driving me nuts. I just... You got to look at them through a whole season's outlook. I think every time they take the mound, especially Arrieta, like a veteran guy, you got a chance to win. Eflin's been great this season. You got a chance to win. I mean, Pivetta, since he's been back, he's been pitching pretty well overall. You would think you have a decent chance to win, especially playing a Mets team that's kind of weak.
Right. Something I've been noticing during this Mets series is JT. He's been making a couple errors. I think he has 2 errors this series, and I don't know. Once one thing's fixed, another thing happens with errors, and then it's batting, pitching. It's just this team.
Inconsistency.
Very inconsistent. And then like Max brought up, I'm sorry. I'm so irritated from that Marlins series. There is no way
Disgusting.
you should have gotten swept by one of the worst teams in baseball today. Like, that was absolutely horrible.
At home, too.
And now all of a sudden we win in a couple games because of a couple of bamboo trees. I'm not buying it, okay? All right? I need to see some consistency. Couple of bamboo plants ain't going to do it for me.
But that's, in a way, that's Philadelphia. Because when we're down, we find something to cling on, like the dog mask.
Dog mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
That's
past
true.
year with the ski mask.
Yeah, the ski mask.
That's
and now
true.
the bamboo.
Yeah.
Just something to look forward to and hold on to.
Okay, so do you feel, Max, at this point right now in the season, do you want to do the aggressive thing and try to get a pitcher?
Like a
the
high-end
open
starting pitcher? Like a Madison Bumgarner or Mike Minor?
I think Madison Bumgarner is out of the question. I don't think we're getting him without giving
Matt Boyd's out there.
a very important piece of this mediocre team as it is, but...
Here's what I do. I say yes, only if he's under contract for years to come. I think this year we're not winning the World Series. I think we all in this room agree on that. There's just too many good teams out there. The Yankees are a powerhouse.
The Atlanta
They're winning
All-Stars.
so many games. The Atlanta's playing so great right now, and the Dodgers, they've been doing their thing all season long. So if you can go out and get a Matt Boyd, I think he's got 3 more years left on his contract. That would be ideal, because then you can plug him into the rotation for a couple more years to come. I know Arrieta's getting old and his contract's running out. So you're going to need to get another starting pitcher, especially because you don't have that much talent in the minors. I mean, you know what Eichhoff gives you. You know what Cole Irvin gives you. You don't want to see those guys back at the major league level anytime soon. So I think to your question, Chris, I think you do need to look at, hey, maybe we can get a guy before the deadline. And the sooner the better, honestly. We got division games coming up. We play the Braves again next week in Atlanta. I mean, this doesn't get any easier for us. So I think you have to look at it, and hopefully we get somebody good, and it's not just a 1-year rental type of deal, you know?
Because I'm getting sick.
I'm not into those, no.
Because I'm getting sick and tired of, the back and forth stuff. Like this last couple of weeks, nothing was going right for the Phillies. All right, the batting wasn't going right, the pitching wasn't going right. All right, I was fussing and complaining because Gabe Kapler was putting a pitcher in the 8th batting spot, which I still think to this day is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
That's a Chicago Cubs thing where they try. I think they had Hayward leading off, and then they put, I think, Ben Zobrist as a secondary leadoff guy.
Oh.
I think that's where that came from, and I just think that's Kapler just going, try this. It's just deck chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah, but then it looks like you're just throwing stuff at the wall, just hoping that it sticks. Like that's
looks
what it
bad.
was.
That's what it was. And yes, it does look bad.
From a leadership standpoint, that looks bad because it makes it look like you don't know what you're doing. When from the beginning, you should have been holding this team accountable. We brought up last episode about if Gene Segura should have been sat down. He should have been sat down to send a message to the team. Let them know straight from jump sheet who the leader is. And you didn't do that. So guess what? Everybody feel like they can just do what they want to do. There's no accountability. There's no leadership on this team.
Just to address Matthew Boyd's contract, it does expire at the end of this year.
This year it expires?
Yeah, it does.
Then he's out of the question. Then I do think you need to add another one. I just think the way we don't have a 5th guy. All right,
No.
Velasquez, I like the way he was developing in the bullpen. I thought he was pitching okay. He was a guy that can come out. He's got the high 90s fastball and kind of be able to pitch in those middle innings there when you need them, and also come in as a long reliever for some length if your starter gets shelled early on in the game. So I just like him better as a bullpen reliever rather than a starter. So we can find somebody at the deadline. I do think we need to add a starter. The reliever's different. Tommy Hunter, who you guys aren't a big fan of, but at least he's a guy who has experience and he's kind of been around a long time. He knows his ropes, and he's going to come back this weekend. And I know Nishek, we said, oh, man, he can come back and give us some depth out of the bullpen. And he goes down immediately when he comes back. So we need some help, and Tommy Hunter can provide that.
At this point, yeah, just I just want to see what Tommy Hunter can do.
I mean, no one else is doing anything, so you got to try somebody new, right? David Robertson's still out there. He's going to throw off a mound soon. He's working his way back, hopefully sometime in July.
How long we've been saying
This is a terrible way to go about a season, just putting players in. Let's just see what he can do at this point. Like, it's not even, what is this, halfway through the season?
But what is the other option? That's kind of how we have to roll
but
with
we shouldn't have to think about it. This should be an actual team put together.
We all know
with players playing in their position, but it's just not, and that's not what we have.
Tommy Hunter's been good for us in the past. He's had his moments where he's good. Everybody has their moments when they're not. But, man, he can come in and give us something more than what J.D. Hammer has been giving us lately, or
he needs more time in the minors.
Yeah, I don't know why
Hammer.
we don't have another. We don't really have anybody else to bring up though.
Yeah,
he kind of has to be out there.
Yeah, he has to. But I do appreciate that Gabe is trying to shelter him, just because when he came up at first, he did look pretty good, but
his first couple outings, were pretty good.
Yeah, but he's a young guy, and that's why we're seeing a lot of Juan Nicasio instead of J.D. Hammer.
And hey, I mean, last show I sat here and mocked Juan Nicasio, but he came out and he's been pitching well lately. I mean, he's been put in high leverage situations, 7th and 8th inning the last couple times he's been out there, and he's getting outs. So I can't complain about that at all. But again, like we said weeks ago on this podcast, that we're getting guys back from the bullpen. So I don't think we needed to go out and give Craig Kimbrell that money to put in the back end, because we have guys that are going to be coming back and getting healthy. The position we need is a starter. We've been saying that all along. We don't have another option. We need to get a starter, and not just for this year, but look to the future too, because again, we don't have anybody to bring up in the minor leagues.
And you can't even say for real that you even have an ace in the starting rotation anymore. You really can't.
Nola hasn't been
playing up to his usual standards. All right, and dang.
Arrieta hasn't been pitching like great.
Yeah, I don't know why his name slipped my mind. Arrieta hasn't been playing like he's supposed to. This is absolutely maddening.
I hope Nola can get back on track today. Let's start up today and get the 4-game sweep.
I mean, like I said, Nola didn't exactly have a bad game his last start against the Marlins. He went 8 and struck out 10. He just gave up 2, and the Phillies could only bring in 1.
Yeah.
Something about this lineup change with Kingery at the top has sparked us. I mean, I feel like everybody's kind of where they need to be now. Segura is great in the 2 spot. I mean, he's just a great 2 hitter.
Speaking of Scott Kingery, Chris, you need to address this right now. All right? This needs to be addressed right now. All right? Because we are the originators of his nickname.
Taryn Hatcher, look, I'm single, but what the hell? You can't just take my idea like that and throw it on Twitter like that. And all you fools out there who, missed the episode,
That was funny, Chris.
in Taryn's mentions, like, we should make a shirt. Taryn, I never even thought of that. Where do you think Taryn
that's
Hatcher?
ludicrous.
Where do you think Taryn Hatcher got from this show?
Yeah.
I agree. I'm sick of this. Yes.
Well, that's our shirt, Taryn Hatcher. You're not making Scott Dingery shirts.
Thank you. That had to be addressed.
I mean, he's been great. He's been a big-time spark plug at the top of the lineup, and then Segura, too, and it just kind of falls into place. Harper, Hoskins, Romito, and it just flows down the lap. Cesar's been good. When he's been going well this season, he's been in that 6th or 7th hole. And Franco, out of nowhere, finally starts hitting
And hey, in
bombs.
the field, too, I know that ball was foul, but, man, you see the effort he put
That's a
in
good
towards
point,
that
because
play?
Scott Kingery, he couldn't get the ball to first base. He was bouncing every throw up to Hoskins, and Hoskins was just like, whoa, like, I can't, like, snag the
Was this
ball.
Little League?
He's like trying to pick every ball out of the dirt, but Franco, he makes some crazy plays at that. His arm strength.
Scott Kingery does
great.
look like he's still in high school.
Yeah, Scott Kingery, if he was playing like this early on, and he was actually playing earlier in the season, I think he would be in the All-Star game for a utility guy.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
talking about that. Yeah.
He looks pretty smooth in center field.
Instead, it's just the Atlanta Braves and Chicago Cubs.
Yep. That's
You know what? A real quick
So insufferable. Sorry.
A real quick question for you guys, because you guys go to more baseball games than I do, and this is becoming like a real concern in terms of the foul line and more stadiums needing to put up that netting in terms of preventing injuries with the foul balls. How do you guys honestly feel about that?
I think for me it goes both ways. I mean, there's been years and years and years and years and years that there wasn't any netting there, and people were just at the game, and you really didn't hear much about people. I mean, the ball would come flying in, and it has been. Again, it's been like years, centuries, and the ball comes flying in, and people. I mean, yeah, there's going to be occasional times where people get hit with the ball, but I think these things right here, the cell phones, is what's causing the majority of it. I mean, people come to the game, and again, if you're not a baseball guy or girl, it's a slow game. I mean, there's gonna be times if you're not a fan, like a big time fan invested, you're gonna get bored. You're gonna be on your phone. It happens, especially in games where either the pitcher's duel and there's not much offense happening.
But still, if you're sitting along the baselines, at least within the infield, you got to keep your head up.
Now that's my personal thinking. Like, okay, you should know the basics of baseball and how those foul balls work. So if you're sitting in that danger zone, like, you really shouldn't be paying attention to your phone. Like, you should really be paying attention to where that ball is being smacked.
It really depends on who you ask.
Sometimes it's not even you're not paying attention. It's just that ball's coming in extremely fast, and there's that unfortunate event
That's what
where
I-
that little
like,
girl got
sometimes-
hit.
Right.
And I mean the player. I don't know who exactly the player was.
The Todd Frazier
The
incident?
Cubs guy?
The Cub, yeah,
Albert Almora Jr., yeah.
But I mean, he was devastated, and I think it would be best. The players would think it would be best if there was a netting all around the whole infield. I know people want foul balls, and they want a game ball. But
That's kind of where
safety is. That's
Right.
I think that's what's putting the netting, not putting it there because the fans they don't want the net.
It's a
there.
different feel because, like me being a really big, you guys know I'm a huge baseball guy. Like when you're going, I go to a ton of games every year, and when you're down that close, you want to you bought those seats for a reason, right?
Right.
You want to feel part of the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be one of those guys that is going to sit there on his phone. Like I'm invested in the game.
If you're that
Right.
close, I'm bringing a glove to the game. But
Right.
I mean, stuff happens.
And
Like,
that's-
little girl's not going to be paying it that much attention to be. I mean, that ball's coming in real fast. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone's going to be able to move.
yeah.
And that's ultimately my thinking. I'm devastated these things are happening, but that pretty much comes with the territory of sitting there.
We extended. The Phillies are one of the teams that did extend a netting down to the end of the dugouts. So
Yeah.
I think at that point it's pretty. I mean, if you get hit by a ball and you're down, I mean, now we're talking down near the ball girl. Come on, like you're either not paying attention or you're just being stupid and like, all right. What is there a foul ball coming? Okay, like you should have enough time. My point is, you should have enough time to react. Either catch it, get out of the
ridiculous.
way. I mean, that's pretty far down the line.
It's far enough to be aware.
I get it what your point is. It's coming in so fast, and again, that is like that behind the dugouts. Some of the stadiums don't have it right behind the dugouts,
Right.
and there's just nothing you can do. It's just like a snap of the finger, and the ball's there. But if you're down the line, you're the ball girl. I mean, come on.
Also, don't use your babies as a shield.
Wait. Did somebody do that? No way. Did somebody do that?
Remember when Todd Frazier, I think it was like 2 years ago, hit a baby?
I don't. That's terrible.
What?
I know.
But I did.
Dude, Todd Frazier was literally crying.
Oh my God.
Was that back when
You
he played?
didn't-
Oh yeah.
You guys
oh, yeah.
didn't see
I remember
this?
that one. I remember that one.
You guys didn't see this?
I remember that one.
I think he was still with the Mets. No,
He's
Yankees. It was the Yankees.
Oh,
I know my
Yeah, I
New
remember.
York teams.
Yeah, I remember that one.
wow.
You said, wait a minute, the parent protected or wait a minute.
No, I was saying that as a joke. Don't use your baby as a shield.
Man, that's not something to joke about.
I'm sorry.
It's not funny.
I have a dark sense of humor.
Poor choice of joke.
Yes. It's a family show.
Just when
doggone it.
something like that happens, it's extremely upsetting. and
I'm giving
devastating.
I'm giving advice to parents out there. That's what I'm doing.
From a person who doesn't have kids.
Advice from Chris with no kids.
You don't know that?
Oh my god. You're right.
Piece of Swiss cheese.
Listen, back to the Phils.
I'm
just want to wrap it
sorry.
up real
I didn't
quick.
mean to.
I just
steer
think
us off
the team
course.
feeds off each other. We saw that walk-off home run last night with Bruce. The team just kind of feeds off the energy, and I feel like that every aspect of our game is better when we're having fun. I mean, I saw, for example, I wrote down here that Edgar Garcia, for example, comes in last night. Looks like a totally different pitcher than what we've seen in the past. Last Sunday, he gives up back-to-back bombs to the Marlins, and I'm sitting there like, this guy's not even a major league pitcher. But I just feel like when we're going well, guys want to get out to the mound. They want
Right.
to, they feed off each other.
By the way, that was our first walk-off victory of the season.
Yeah, that's
our first
crazy.
walk-off victory of the season.
It's almost July.
Yeah.
I just
hope there's no more tinkering with the lineup. I think the lineup it is now, just stick with it, man. Ride the wave. We're scoring so many runs.
What are we, 5.5 games back?
Yeah, but again, the Braves. I was hoping, because I was looking at this, like the Braves going into this week, we played the Mets in a 4-game series. The Braves traveled to Wrigley Field, played the Cubs in a 4-game series. They play again today, and I was thinking, man, this is 4 games here, tough for the Braves going on the road, and we get the Mets at home. So I was hoping we could turn it around, but the Braves just keep winning. They've won 2 out of 3 in the series so far. They're going for 3 out of 4 today.
But see, that's why I said all those episodes ago that this stretch wasn't something to play around with, because the Braves were winning, because the Braves were right on your tail.
Mm-hmm.
So now, since you were losing and they were winning, now look how much of a gap it is between first and second place. This isn't going to be easy to make up.
Right.
So that's why ultimately I'm not convinced with this 2-game winning streak that they're on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not convinced. I need to see more games. I need to see this hitting consistently, and this pitching is now once again coming into question.
Yeah, and it's kind of how it's been all season long, and hopefully we're sitting here 2 weeks, so that's a lot of games. I know that the All-Star break's coming up 2 weeks from now. We could be sitting here looking at a totally different Phillies team. Because, man, look, a week's gone by, and look how much has happened to this team in 1 week. Now we're talking 2. It could be a totally different outlook. But, Tanner, go ahead. We got some football talk real quick.
Yeah, 42 days until Eagle football. That first preseason game kicks off. It's August 8th.
Holy crap!
Can't wait.
Give me a green right slot, spider 2 wide and in.
I'm gonna turn that.
During this, maybe a week ago, or actually yesterday, I think Sproles was working out with Breeze. And do you think this is a reunion between the two? They're going to be crossing paths again.
I don't give that much thought. I mean, Sproles for me is one of those guys, like we said before, like awesome if we can come back. If not, then we'll find somebody. I mean, I don't look at him like, oh, what is he trying to make the Eagles like jealous? Like, look at me with I don't look at it like that. Like, he's hanging out with Drew Brees, do his thing.
Yeah.
The one guy I went to the key on real quick, Bronny McLeod. I think a lot of people forget about him, but he needs to step up this year. We don't really have a lot of safety help behind Malcolm Jenkins. I think if he can be healthy, that would be a really, really, really big time move for us, because if he can stay healthy this season, I think, man, that would give us a big boost in the secondary.
Agreed. But back to Sproles, last season he was sidelined 10 weeks, and when he came back, week 13 was when we really needed him, and when we needed to be the Texans, the Rams,
Right.
Yeah.
and those important games. He came back, produced 120 rushing yards, 160 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's 36 years old.
And no question at how good Darren Sproles has been his whole
I
career.
mean, I know
That's
he's
my
trying to
whole thing.
retire on the top of the game, and
I want him back. Definitely, I want him
Yeah.
back on the right contract.
Yeah.
T, I know you disagree. I know you think you want to get a young guy in here, but again, like
Yeah.
I said, where we are
we
with
have
this
a
team,
young guy.
where we are with this team.
I know we have the young guys, but look here, sometimes it's just time to move on, and it's crowded in the running back spot.
It's always crowded for the Eagles, though.
Yeah, but still, I'm not bringing him back just for him to be a returner, because that's really all he's going to be. I'm not bringing him back just for punt return.
Who's
You're
going to be the
cool,
returner then?
But you're cool.
I got Deshaun Jackson.
No,
at
not
punt
Deshaun.
return.
We can't have him being the
You're
returner.
cool with bringing back.
Can we?
What?
Can we have Deshaun Jackson back there returning punts?
No, you can't.
You can, but not consistently.
But you're
saying
cool. You're cool with bringing back Jason Peters as a glorified coach.
Right.
Yes.
Are you cool with?
There's a difference.
Are you cool with bringing back Sproles if he's a punt returner and gets carries as well?
Okay, now we're talking something different.
But why? But one question is why? When you have more talented backs, you have Miles Sanders, you have Jordan Howard. You don't. First of all, Sproles is old. He gets banged up easily. Don't you only want him doing punt returns?
But that's the thing, though. He's a mismatch when he's out there in the offensive field. Let's be honest. If there was a bunch of 6'3", 6'4", 300+ pound guys all around this 5'6", 190 pound tiny guy, you can't see him. He's a mismatch. Right. He's a mismatch nightmare for linebackers and safeties because of his speed and his route running ability and his pass catching ability out of the backfield. So if he adds value to the offense, then I would bring him back. But like you said, we have Miles Sanders, we have Jordan Howard, we have Corey Clement coming back, we still have Josh Adams.
This team is built for a Super Bowl run this year.
Correct.
Do you want a young guy like, example, Josh Huff returning your punts in the Super
well,
Bowl, or do you want Darren Sproles returning punts in the Super Bowl?
Josh Huff ain't on the squad, thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
I want to get
Oh,
into
my
one more
gosh.
thing about quarterback rankings because Chris brought to our attention
my gosh.
this chart by Chris Sims that had Tom Brady 9th overall for quarterbacks. And I just want to go over your guys' opinions on who the top 5 quarterbacks are.
was this a prediction, or was this like
No,
where they
this
are
is
now?
just Chris Sims putting stuff out there to make people like us angry.
I'll say my top 5 right now. It's Brady, Breeze, Mahomes, Wilson, Rodgers.
I can't put Mahomes up there yet.
What's
Yeah.
what's more shocking to you guys? The fact that Brady's
Whoa,
eighth
hold on. What
or
do you mean yet?
Yeah, what do you mean
over?
yet?
Last time I checked,
Who's going over Mahomes?
Last time I checked, he ain't got a ring. I put
It-
Roethlisberger over
We're
him.
talking about-
But why? Rings.
And you
baby.
coming into this season,
Rings.
you're telling me you're going to have Big Ben
Plural.
as the quarterback over Patrick Mahomes.
If
I'm
you're
not saying that.
if you're starting a team and you're getting a quarterback, first thing to do is getting a quarterback, and you have Ben Roethlisberger or Patrick Mahomes, you're getting Ben Roethlisberger because he has rings, because that
different.
matters now.
Okay, that's different.
You're
you guys
building
are just
a
looking
team.
at last season. I'm looking at career overall.
I'm on your team. I'm taking Ben over Patrick.
Yeah,
Here's the one thing.
So-
I agree with your list is great. You know, it's kind of hard to argue that. But I think Andrew Luck has to be considered in the top 5.
Oh my God, yeah.
Maybe
No
after
rings.
stop saying no rings. Maybe after this season, because I think
pissed
Andrew
off.
Luck is going to have a great season, and I think the Colts are going to go to the Super Bowl.
We can use that same argument against you with Donovan. Although I think all
Yeah.
you
what you mean? I said Donovan don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
But what's more shocking, the fact that Brady's 9th or Cam Newton is above Brady?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever
It's
seen.
ridiculous.
Can't do that,
I
bro.
don't
I'm
know
sorry.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah, that
Real
was
quick
absolutely
before you got here,
ridiculous.
Phillies lineup's out today for today's matinee game against the Mets. Kingery, Segura, Harper, Hoskins, and then Bruce is going to be in the 5 spot because
Kingery,
Real
yes, sir.
Muto's getting a day off. And then you got Hernandez, Franco, Knapp, and then Nola. Knapp, again, one thing I got
Stop
a minute.
it.
Please, Matt Clintack. There's got to be somebody sitting on their couch somewhere in this world that
They might as well be
is
putting
better.
me in there. Like, come on.
Please, there has to be somebody. Who's your starting minor league catcher at AAA? He's better. There has to be somebody. You can't just listen. That's 2 at bats today. When it gets down to the bottom of the lineup and you have Knapp, Nola, Kingery,
I just
you're
can't
damn, that's 2
stomach
not your
watching
cup of
Andrew Knapp
tea.
up to bat with people on base and him striking out
It's
or just
2.
popping up to the catcher. I can't.
It's automatic
I can't
out.
deal with it anymore. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
It really is, man.
Now
There has to
watch
be
him prove us wrong, and Andrew Knapp
No.
is a great. I just don't think that's going to happen.
I would bet money that Andrew Knapp goes 0 for 3 today.
Yeah, but I wouldn't
Chip in
take
like a
that
hit by
bet
pitch or
because
something.
Is that your new Aaron Altair?
Yeah.
That's
He's always been my Aaron Altair,
That's
though. Andrew Knapp,
everyone's-
man.
That's everyone's Aaron Altair. God.
I mean, that or anybody in the bullpen, really, you can pick.
Not to end on a somber note, but I just want to bring something up real quick. Earlier this week, a friend of mine, Ryan Trefz, passed away.
I heard about that. The hockey player, right?
Yeah,
The high school kid.
Yeah, he was the captain of Temple's club team. I played against him numerous times when he played on CB South. I didn't know him that well, but a couple times that I talked with him and hung out with him, he was a really good guy.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
My condolences to your family, Ryan.
Thoughts and prayers.
Rest in peace, man.
All right.
All right,
All right, everybody.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to bring that up.
All right, good people. If you missed any of today's episode, we have a new website that you can catch it on. You can go to Philly-Experience www.simplecast.com. And you can catch the latest episode. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and now TuneIn.
And we will not be on next week.
No, we will not. We will be
For the
vacation.
4th of July.
I want to
Enjoy your 4th,
Yes.
everybody.
I'm grabbing me
I
a
won't.
10-pound
We'll see you
brisket.
next week.
Be at freaking work.
We'll see you 2 weeks from now. I just said next week. See you 2 weeks.